Last time on the Empire's Edge.
When you get to the docks at Hiller, there's no one there to greet you. Boris, you get an odd sensation that there's something outside that seems out of place. Something's wrong. You can tell that there's what looks like a black bear. This one looks as though its neck has been crushed.
Any organs missing that I recognize right off the bat?
There are other sticks being used to prop and to brace, as though someone was trying to get close to this thing's heart. Further up into the hills, you do hear what sounds like a person is running, and they sound like they're a long way away. This thing is still out there somewhere, and it's still following you. So you've spoken to the bird, Zelen, and you have an idea of what's happening around you, that there's something moving through these woods. It's slowly going brighter. It's early in the morning. What do you guys do now?
Go ahead and start packing up camp.
Break camp and start heading towards the horseshoe.
I think we should try to find this guy's tracks. I think we need to take him out.
This is true. Last we saw, I believe he had crossed back over the river towards the bear. We were just on the other side.
According to the bird, he's been everywhere. Yeah, he's just ran these woods all night.
We'll probably catch with him again soon. We can either spend a whole day trying to locate him with his tracks everywhere, or we can continue south.
He has also been following us, so I have a feeling we'll definitely run into him.
Okay,
again.
so let's head towards the waterfall, but while we're doing it, can we keep an eye out for his tracks?
Obviously, yeah. Let's keep heads on swivels.
I can. I might be a better tracker than you are.
Okay, so you didn't have to come for me in that exact
moment. So it doesn't take you more than a few minutes to pack up your kits, and you're back into the creek. Again, there's not much of an embankment on either side. It's pretty steep right here. You hike down to the creek, or do you stay above it? Because you weren't actually camping last night at the creek itself.
Right. No, we were about 10 minutes away from it or something.
Right, exactly.
Something like that. Yeah, so we'll make our way back to essentially where we were when we saw the bear, and then just continuing up that split where we just got into.
The creeks are only real landmark and path, so I'd say moving through the creek and just stay aware of ambush points, so if something squirrely happens,
it's not necessarily a strong enough current that if we were actually moving through the water itself, it wouldn't impede us that way.
No, not at all. But it is rough terrain, between going over logs that have fallen across it, ducking under logs.
More so than it would be to actually walk through the woods itself.
Well, with the woods itself, we don't know if the creek pulls away. We're just trying to hear it or stay near it, hopefully.
So you're back to the creek. The bear is still there, just the way it was left the last time you were there. Nothing else seems to have changed there.
Does he seem heartless?
It is one heartless dead bear. And boy, that was one mean, ugly bear.
But is the grass greener around it? That's what I'd like to know.
Much greener.
The flies are loving it.
Yeah, no.
Hey, look, there's a dead thing, and Zelen didn't kill it.
She just prevented its return.
This is actually an oddity. Imagine that. Something dead wasn't our druid.
Are you actually chaotic evil? Or I guess neutral evil with the druid requirements? Oh, wait, no, that's wrong edition again.
So
I'm a fool.
So right from here, we know that we already heard him running on the opposite side of the river, so the tracks here wouldn't necessarily be recent.
He's crisscrossed and done all those things. Actually, roll your investigation, David, or knowledge nature, or I should say just nature, survival. I'll get it right.
David, the level 1 commoner, got no.
I'm sorry. Jacob, survival probably is your best one.
Yeah, for survival, that is a 23.
Yeah, you are positive that, and you can see his tracks on both sides of the creek as you're coming back to the creek itself down this trail. You see his tracks quite plainly, his booted tracks. When you get into the creek itself, you're looking over the other side with the bears. You see them over there. It looks as though he has made loops through this area, so you can't tell which direction he's going in.
So I'll share that with you guys. He's been back here a lot, but nothing that would give me any sort of an indication of where he's gone recently.
All right. Let's be aware of potential ambushes and head to the horseshoe.
So as you're following the creek southwest, further up into the deeper hills, up into the mountains, it oscillates. It goes to a little bit to the east, a little bit to the west, and then swings back to the direction again. So you know that in linear miles, or as the crow flies, you've not gotten that far. It's starting to loop back and forth even more now. So there's a little less fall to it. You'll hit places where there are falls. You have to leave the trail of the creek for a little while and then come back to it again. But then it seems fairly apparent. You get to a spot where there's a wider pool, and you can't stay right here at the creek. You're going to have to either go to the east around one side of this pool or around to the west around to the other side of this pool.
Jacob, can you see any sign of him or it moving in this area?
I'll look for any number of tracks I can find on either side that would recommend, like, he's been on this side or wildlife typically goes on this side.
Okay, so you take 10 minutes. Go ahead and do that survival check.
15.
It takes you a while as you've circled around, and you've moved in both directions, both to the east and the west side of where this is. And it does seem it's just a pond that's just further high up here, like maybe debris. Beavers maybe have stopped this up, but it's just an upper pool. It's larger than you'd expect one to be this far up into the mountains. But after a while of checking, you can find his tracks, and it's around to the east side of the pool. Since you're facing more south, that's over to your left-hand side.
Gotcha.
But you can tell that he seems to have stopped for a while, considered something, and there's a number of oscillations to his own boot prints. Like he stood in a spot, then moved just a foot, and then stood there for a while. And you could see he must have sunk in a little bit, right at the edge of the water, and then backed up a few steps. That he spent some time, maybe an hour or more, in this one spot before moving on, circling around further southeastward, going around this pool.
And rather recently, I would imagine sometime during the night?
Yes, sometime probably either late at night or early in the morning,
Okay,
yes.
so I'll call Boris and
Zelen,
about to say Natasha.
different character, different milieu.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but still same kill crazy and occasionally does bullshit
We
power
kill
things.
bugbear and moose.
Oh, I was going Romanoff. I thought you were making a Black Widow joke.
Oh, no, that's Boris and Natasha are the villains
Yeah.
from
yeah.
Bullwinkle.
Mm.
I'm going to burn down the trees like that. Yeah. So yeah, I'll call you guys over, share. These are the tracks I found. Definitely seems reasonable going in the same direction as us. Sharing the same thing. He seems like he pondered something. Do you guys have any idea what he might have been interested in looking around?
Whatever he gleans
Can I
from that
also
stone.
study it to see if there's anything else that I can examine and if I could tell anything?
Do
Like,
that
did
first
he
with
pick
your
something
survival.
up?
Can I
Very rare type
intimidate
of
the
fungus.
tracks?
Yeah, roll that.
The very rare
Give it a
type of
try.
fungus inside of the boot print that recommends he's exactly 1 mile north.
13.
I got an 11 on my intimidation.
The tracks don't seem particularly intimidated. They're frowning a little bit.
I want to help him.
Dirt and mud cares not. Nothing
no.
new. You gain nothing new than what Jacob had already said. However, Zelen, go ahead and roll an insight.
Jacob is lying to you.
14.
Boris seems to have gone insane, given that he's trying to frighten literal dirt.
It's been a while since we fought something. I have a feeling.
You can imagine, Zelen, that with that 13 perception roll, the insight roll rather, that you could imagine him standing here for some time, and you already talked about him using that stone, that he's using some sort of a stone he looks at, that the idea pops into your head that he stood here for a long time looking at that stone.
So I'm going to share that. I'm going to take my own stone out. My, the
Dragonfly.
the dragonfly that I've been carrying. Maybe it's something with these stones. Maybe that will do something or show something. I'm going to try that.
I'll pull out my fox too.
Okay.
Is it glowing?
It is not glowing.
Okay.
But does it get
pull out the
warm?
bear
Does it get warm and cold as I move around? Is there anything I can tell?
There is no immediate tactile or perceptive change. There's no roll you need to make for that. It doesn't grow warmer or colder as you're doing these things you're doing.
Okay.
A worldwide game of hot and cold. That'd have been interesting. Yeah.
So then let's move on.
Yeah, we got we have a new lead, but let's just continue on the way.
Okay.
He doesn't know we're after him, so maybe he's not moving as quickly.
So are we now following his tracks?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and his tracks are also heading in the same general direction that you want to go in, and that's around this body of water, following the creek along. So at the juncture point where this body of water turns back into the creek again, where it's flowing down in, it's more like gentle falls, that there's regular fall to the creek itself. It's not a roaring, there's not much of a creek left anymore, but you are staying in this creek, going to have to leave the creek to follow that trail.
Right,
So it
yeah.
makes the going even slower as you go further up, and it's quite apparent. It seems as though he's not that far ahead of you. You're still following his tracks. You can see where he's put a boot down, and you put a big a smear of mud, and then got his footing and pushed back up again. That it's difficult terrain for all of you, but it seemed to be a difficult terrain for him as well.
The
that's
falls
unusual.
are where we're headed, but the whole reason we're going to the falls, I have a feeling he has to be involved in it in some way. I'd recommend continuing to follow his tracks,
Yeah.
I agree.
even if they diverge.
Boris, have you heard of anything that I wonder if he's moving less because of the sun? Last night he was just running through the woods like crazy. Now he's slipping and falling. Have you ever heard of any of a creature like that could help us if we encounter him?
There are various sorts, especially if he is an undead thing, that are driven off, weakened, or even slain by sunlight, but it might just be, terrain.
Okay,
that-
it's just something to keep in mind.
It is, yes.
I think what are the odds that he can't see as well in the light and he's better at seeing in the dark?
Yeah, but that might
I
help
wouldn't-
us when we encounter him.
Wouldn't know until we get to him and kill him and examine him.
Look at his eyeballs for just a moment.
Kill first, ask questions later. Yeah.
Yeah, you have one of those tools
I
that
don't
Loki
think he'll
has.
hesitate either.
So after a half an hour of traveling up this creek, it seems as though there's actually more flow to the creek itself, as though at some point between the point where you are right now and the body of water down below you, the creek must go underground, or a lot of it goes underground, because there's more flow here than there was just a little bit ago. And as you can still see his tracks fairly plainly, they do actually leave the creek. It's very, very decided. They go off to one side. Go ahead and roll your survival, Jacob, again.
11.
It looks as though he stopped again for a period of time in this one spot right by the creek before he moved in this tangential direction away from the creek,
Gotcha.
more to the west-hand side.
Kind of orienting myself the same direction as his own footprints, sharing my findings with Zelen and Boris. I just want to take a look in the direction he was looking at, see if it seems like he was looking down again or if there's something he was actually looking at in that direction.
There's a dry creek bed that flows down to this point, and it looks as though he was facing the direction of that dry creek bed. So there's a cut in the hill itself. Not that noticeable. If you were just going past, you wouldn't have given another thought if he hadn't stopped right here.
So is he following an older creek, maybe? He's following a creek that once was.
Maybe. I mean, how deep is it at this point if we try to cross to get to that?
Oh, you just walk to it. There is no depth to this. You can just see there's a cut where you can tell the stones. You can just see there's no water flowing through it. You can just see that at one point, or maybe when it rains really hard, that water flows through that.
Do his tracks continue in this direction, or does he look this way and continue on in a different
Well,
direction?
why don't you walk 20, 30 feet in that direction and then go ahead and do your survival.
We'll
up to
do
those
that.
tracks.
18.
Yeah, he definitely is moving in this direction. And it's a lot easier terrain because you're not actually in a creek that has the topsoil washed away. You're in what is tantamount to a dry creek bed, and it's a lot easier to walk on.
Gotcha. Yeah. Waving both of y'all over.
To follow the tracks?
Yeah, found the tracks again. Well, may as well continue. We need to figure out who this guy is, what this guy is.
Right.
I think so too.
And then after about another half an hour again, you can find a spot quite noticeable, Jacob, where he has stopped once again, and it's as though he's just standing in a place for a long period of time, and then he starts moving on. But where he's moving on now actually even leaves this creek bed.
So I'm going to look around like you did before. That was a good idea. And to see if there's anything I can tell, any kind of signal, any like purposely bent tree or anything that looks like a path that he might be following.
Okay, roll your knowledge of nature first.
13.
It does occur to you that everything in nature that you've seen, that you've grown up with, is way too young for what you believe yourself to be looking for, or what you find at the other end of the falls. So if you did find a bent tree, like as a signal or a sign that somebody, this is the direction right here, it wouldn't mean anything. It'd be either coincidental or have nothing to do with this. That we're talking about ancient things that are under the topsoil. Whatever is at the Horseshoe Falls would be an ancient cultural site, and nothing so new as even the largest of the trees around you. So do you follow those tracks
Yeah,
away from
we'll
the dry creek bed.
see his tracks again, continue to follow those.
It's only a few minutes going through this, and I would imagine everyone's at a fairly high alert, weapons at the ready, and all of that, head on a
Right,
swivel.
yeah.
Arrow knocked.
That as you proceed a little further forward, you can see the tracks go down into a cleft, and there's some logs falling over it. Otherwise, you would just think it's a place where water collects or it's eroded something out. But it is definitely a hole large enough that a person could go down into
Underground.
and it looks as though his tracks lead right to this opening.
Oh boy! All right.
Delightful.
I can't see in the dark.
Yeah, none of us can. I'll take point. Zelen, you be in the middle with the torch.
I can do a cantrip.
We're fully aware.
Do we want to go with
Do we want-
conventional torch? Is that a cantrip that you can use constantly?
It's just with the frequency that she's been using it, I would have guessed that it's at will.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if it's at will, we might as well.
It says remains for the duration with no harm.
The other thought then, let's have a torch set so that way if you do throw it at something, we don't then immediately go blind.
That's a good idea.
Can you light a torch with this thing?
I'll just light a torch.
I think we're all carrying a bunch.
Yeah.
So how many torches are burning right now?
One.
Okay. So
I'll take point. I'll have the sword out, not my hammer.
and as you're proceeding down, want everyone to make a dexterity check, called an acrobatics check. It drops down fairly precipitously, but there's plenty of roots to hold on to.
Can I do athletics instead?
Athletics, climbing, that'd be fine.
Would I be able to go down first, take a moment to get a good footing, and try and assist them to help them get down as well?
22. And
Never mind.
Since I'm taking point, the same.
18.
You're holding your hand out, Boris, for anyone that needs it, and so far no one has needed it.
I will take it.
Okay.
11.
Wham! No, actually, it was just a DC 10.
Oh,
so,
thank
yeah,
goodness.
you're-
Okay.
That'd be not funny.
Rolled a
All right.
7 on the first one. Like, oh God, please roll better. And then I rolled a 4.
So as you are heading down into this, you can see his boot tracks very, very clearly. It looks as though this stays muddy and silty, even though it hasn't rained for a while. There could also be an underwater source right here, a little bit of a underground trickle of a stream. And there's roots penetrating in from the sides of this. So Jacob, as you're looking forward, or Boris, I guess you're out in front,
Yeah.
and you're holding the torch, I would imagine then too, or are you backlit?
No, Zelen has the torch because
Are
I
you-
need both hands.
Are you second or are you third?
I'm second.
So that as you're trying to hold this torch up over his head to see, you can tell that a lot of roots have penetrated both the walls and the ceiling of this, earthen and rock tube, that as you walk further in, they're going to be brushing against you the whole time. So
Right.
it isn't like it's just a clear open hallway, but it's a little more than just like a bear's burrow or warren. It's larger than that to go into, but it's not a bear cave.
Okay.
If we can get within 90 feet of him, I could cast Entangle and we could maybe hold him.
It's like your catchphrase.
Well, good thing to know.
Definitely
but
an option.
What are you guys going to do right now? as far as-
Proceed.
Okay. So
I'm taking up the rear.
Yes.
as you proceed forward, you don't go in more than about 20 feet, and it stays relatively uniform, the height of the walls and of this thing, where you actually get to worked stone. You can tell that you're standing at the top of a stone slab, and as you're looking down into the darkness, it is a staircase, and it's a staircase going down. Old, very old, ancient, you'd say never or not recently used, not in a person's lifetime easily. There's mud and silt all over these stairs. It looks fairly treacherous, that kind of silt that washes over time. But you really can't see down to the bottom of the stairs, even with this torch right over your shoulder, because of all the roots that are hanging down from the ceiling and coming in from the walls.
So it's still enclosed then? It's not like a stairway kind of on the edge of a cavern?
Correct.
Okay.
Do we have any idea what the stairs are made up of? Or
Stone.
black tourmaline again?
Yeah, but are they? Yeah.
Not with the silt all over it. You'd have to take some time to try to clean it or excavate it. There's easily inches of silt on each one of these stairs.
We've hit a staircase. Mind your footing.
Might be worth just taking a moment to investigate it, because if it's smooth underneath it, it might make for a slippery way down.
I think it's going to be
what are you
slippery
gonna do
anyway.
then, Jacob?
Step to the first stair and just take a moment to study the actual makeup of them themselves to get an idea of what we're up against.
Okay, do a knowledge nature.
14.
They don't seem like they're tourmaline like the black staircase in another part of the Brimroar. They look to be granite
Chiseled by hand.
or milled with tools. Who
Okay.
knows? Yeah, or cut with magic.
Share that.
While he's doing that, I'll listen to see if I hear anything.
Okay, go ahead.
8 on a perception.
It's difficult between the noises, like just people trying to hold still, the roots that are over your shoulders or bumping against you right now, and am I hearing something outside or something further down into this? But you are hearing sounds. It's a living cave. It's not just a dead hole in the ground.
Right.
Okay.
Do you proceed?
Keep going downstairs.
You going first? I'll take up the rear again.
Yes.
Okay, so let's all make an acrobatics check to see how well we do walking down this very, very slick.
Since we know exactly what the makeup of the stairs is, do we have any benefits?
13.
No.
12.
What'd you say? Acrobatics?
Yeah.
21.
Okay, yeah. So the only person that had a moment's trouble, the DC on this was a 12, was Boris, who was like, whoo, going first. I thought for a moment about tobogganing down to the bottom, but decided against it.
You
but the
two
rest
are
of you,
welcome.
yeah.
Yeah, so I nearly screwed up clearing a path. You clear it even further, and then you're just golden. You're like,
It's like,
hey.
I skipped down the stairs.
Yeah, you just kind of like ascend and levitate down.
Well, versus rolling a 2 and bowling pinning everyone like the whole way down the stairs.
Of all people to roll successfully, I think it was good that it was
It
me.
was nice that it worked just that
oh,
way.
natural 20. I'm
I
standing
just
still.
almost didn't.
Yeah, it's like natural 20. Yes, I'm standing still. Good. Now roll a reflex save because here comes Jacob.
The stairs descend about 20 feet down. So you've gone down something like 30 or so stairs. And at the bottom of those stairs, it doesn't open up. This tunnel proceeds, and you can see both hair-like roots, stuff the size of your fingers, and roots the size of your arm or your leg that are cutting through this. So moving further down this hallway looks as though it's going to be a slow going. It isn't just walking down this hallway, that you're ducking under a big root, you're stepping up over another one. Jacob, do a nature sense for tracking, would you?
Nature?
Survival?
Survival.
6.
Okay, yeah,
Can I try?
sure.
How do torches work?
You need oxygen,
Well, I mean, okay.
combustible.
Less physics, more like how much light do they cast?
I believe it's a 20-foot circle of reasonable light, and then out to 30 feet, it's a dimmer illumination. I'm
That's-
not positive.
I'm looking up 5e right now.
Okay.
Because I'm
so-
wondering, because we couldn't see down to the bottom when we were at the top. I was just curious if when we got down here and the torch is still lit, is the torch still illuminating like we expect it to?
Well, that's that. There's roots all through this. It's a little bit like shining a light. When it's dark outside, and there's even a screen between you and what you're trying to shine your light on.
Okay.
All you get is a reflection of the light on the screen, and these are heavy mesh to this screen, so to speak, with the roots. Yeah.
A
Victor?
torch burns for 1 hour, providing bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light for an additional 20 feet.
Oh, 20 more.
If you make a melee attack with a burning torch and hit, it deals 1 point of fire damage.
I was about to ask that too. As an improvised weapon, does a torch deal fire damage? Nice.
1 point of fire damage, and I would argue damage like a club, but then I like to think that things make sense, rather than you're just kind of like holding the fire end lightly
Holding
next
the
to
fire end.
It does massage damage.
No, holding the fire
presenting the
So-
no, I said end. Presenting the fire end at whatever you're fighting, just kind of like, your face is kind of warm now, rather than going clonk.
So, Jacob, you don't see that far from where you are right now. It's fairly tight, 5, 8, maybe 10 feet at one point, but then as you just shift past another root or step over one, just the roots hanging down coming through here, you can't see much ahead of you.
This cave is very
at all.
naturey. Zelen, do you have any idea?
I rolled a 12.
On
My finding tracks, my survival.
yes, on a 12, you see that there are tracks just ahead of you. That whatever it is, it's still preceding you down this tunnel.
We're still on the right path, and I only see one set of tracks, I'm assuming.
That's correct. You do
Okay.
not see tracks that are coming back out, just tracks going in.
So I share that with you guys too.
So
Let's
glad
keep
we brought her.
At the end of 30 feet, it looks as though the stone that's making up the walls, as indistinct as it's been with all the roots coming through it, has been shattered. And you're coming into a more natural looking cavern, an open space. You have to step down into it, and the space itself, where you are, is about 40 feet across. The floor of this cavernous area looks to be just dirt or mud, and it angles from your right being slightly uphill to your left being downhill. and you can see where water has pooled at different points downhill to your left. But right now it's just like rings of mud that go to what looks like another open doorway down on that side. But again, root filled. It just, you can't move inches without roots draping across you, bumping into you, doing things like that.
Anything of significance aside from the pool and the doorway out?
Roll your investigation, Boris.
How about somebody who's good at this do that?
So I would imagine are you moving into there? Yeah, you step down.
I've entered and I'm helping them look at stuff.
I'm going to also investigate.
It narrows to the right where it goes uphill, and you can see there's like tree trunks in it and logs as though there was a collapse, decades ago, maybe even longer.
Right.
And the earth and the dirt sealed in. It's more open to the left and to the right. Zelen?
18.
You're moving through the mud. You've gone about 20 feet to the left, and you notice, Zelen, that one of these roots felt differently, and as you touch it, you realize it's sticky.
There's a sticky root here.
And as she says that,
Sheila, fancy a root.
as she says that, Jacob, go ahead and roll your survival.
22.
You just noticed it. At first you thought it was just the darkness and the indistinctness of all these roots being in the way, but you can see there seems to be what looks like ground fog raising, coming not really from the direction of the doorway that's down to the left, or the opening down to the left. It just seems like from the lowest point, it's slowly filling up.
Point that out immediately. Anything that I know of that makes that happen occur naturally?
Well,
a spellcaster?
Fog happens naturally.
This quickly
weather changes.
and this pointed?
No, nothing that does is like this.
Gotcha. Hey, Miss
Anyone that
Magic person, any idea what this is?
Is this killer fog or just fog?
I can roll nature and see if I can tell. Or how about perception?
Arcana?
Arcana would be a great one.
Because we asked the magic person, not the one that's better at tracking than me.
Oh, you're the magic person, aren't you?
You're the magic person.
I'm the magic person.
I said
we know you kill with darts really well. You're not the fighter in the group.
Yeah. All I do is set my hands on fire. You mean I'm
11.
magic?
No. You would think there's something that is happening with spell and power right now. Potentially something old, but more specific than that. You rolled, I'm sorry, just too low.
Can I roll a nature to see if I understand what a sticky root means?
Sure.
13.
Yes, you know that it is a really big web rolling it.
Holy crap.
Yay.
Big web. Sticky root, big web.
You can English many good.
Okay, I ended it on a 4.
Wow.
I am sitting at 16.
Thank God.
And
Jeez, yeah.
Jacob, where are you?
12.
Okay. At 22.
Oh, I didn't realize when you rolled that. Oh.
Who rolled that high?
I like to picture this. Like, Zelen just touches it. It's like, realize, like, oh, guys, this is oh, God.
Yeah, I'm like elbow deep in spider combat, and it's just like, it's a spider?
It's a spider. It's a sticky web.
Who'd I guess? You don't say.
So, David, what is your armor class?
16.
You feel the impact on the root that is right in front of you. It shakes that and bumps into you, that a strand of something, like a glob of whatever, made that sound.
Thanks for the Foley.
You're welcome.
And through the illumination of all of that, as it like casts other roots aside, something was trying to latch on to and strike you, but it's missed.
And we can't see
So it's
it.
attacking from the back?
It's attacking from the direction of, from the back up into that narrower section.
Should we try to head towards the other entrance? Try to get there as fast as we can?
That was at 22.
Where fog is?
Jacob, no, I believe Boris, you were next at 18?
16.
16.
Yes, I moved to engage with Spider and poke it with the magic
Sharp
poking
end.
stick.
So you are moving past Zelen and past Jacob at that point. And what's your move exactly?
30 feet.
Yeah, so down here with this unusual terrain, you're losing a few feet of movement speed just because of the mud and all the roots and whatnot trying to get there. But you can see it up into that narrower end, and you can make that move and then get one attack at the end of it.
Cool. I only get one attack, so nice.
Best part about being first level is everything's a full round attack.
18 versus armor class.
It hits. Roll your damage.
E.
1 off of max for 13 points.
Ooh,
Nice.
yay.
Wow, that was one heck of a hit.
Yeah,
Well done.
this longsword is delightful.
Yeah, it's a nice long sword.
Magic weapons are the best.
Yeah. What kind of sounds do spiders scream when they're making it?
They don't actually.
Yeah, they're very
Spiders-
quiet things.
No, they actually biologically lack the capacity to make noise. It'd just be whatever, hack
Gush-
and mash.
gushy
and noise,
sound.
Yeah.
Their sounds are just like their mandibles or their talons clicking on something.
Yeah, or in this case, it'd sound a bit like if you had like a whole crab and you just cut it in half. Kind of a squishy crunch.
Oh wow, a liquid crunch. That's a reference to a Trevanian novel. Well done.
I do what I can.
Yeah. Next down, Jacob.
Yep. I'm presuming we can see the thing. Is it really close? Like
Tried to bite
it
you.
just tried to bite me, or
It's
do
about
I-
15 feet away from you right now.
Oh, okay, then I will take a shot at it with my bow. 17.
Hits.
Nice. For 7 points of damage.
Taken. And Zelen, what was your actual knit roll?
4.
That's including your modifier?
Oh, no, I forgot.
Yeah, you need a dex
Dexterity.
mod.
Dexterity.
Yeah, it's your dexterity modifier plus
Actually, plus
whatever
9.
Seven.
She was supposed to go before. Whoa, okay, not plus 7. Plus 3.
7 total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And where were you, Jacob?
I was at 12.
Okay. At 10, Zelen, you're being attacked from behind.
Sneaky spider.
Called a different sneaky spider. And one of those strands hits you, and it knocks you against a root, and you are stuck to it. As an action, you can do a strength check to try to break free from that, and then do some kind of an action for the next round. But you have been glued with web to one of the larger roots adjacent to you.
Okay.
So
Spider
now is it my
B.
turn?
So now it's your turn.
So now I'm going to try to break free of that. What do I do?
You're going to roll a d20 and add your strength modifier to it.
There's a queen joke here.
5.
And you are,
Is that plus your modifier?
Yeah.
and you remain stuck.
I'm stuck. Hit me.
Okay. Well, the two of them, I'm not sure if you yell, "I'm stuck, help me," did you?
No,
Okay.
not really.
Because those two are at the other end
Kill
of the cave.
Spider.
They're
I'll
at the
figure
other
it
end of
out.
the cave, right?
Oh, look who needs help now.
Just throw a dart through its eye.
Yeah, just throw a dart
It's got
at it.
8 of them. There's more
I
targets
would,
than the
but I'm
bugbear.
stuck.
What, both hands?
Look, I just want to give you guys your own chance to be a hero. So
And Boris, no, I'm sorry, my guy's up.
Yep.
Spider. And Boris is the only, I think, likely target. It
Yeah, I'm
it would
in
make sense to
melee,
me.
yeah.
Boris, what's your
How-
armor class?
18.
Hits.
Light the web on just like produce the thing and then light the web on fire.
I would burn myself.
Yeah, but you'd be free, weakling.
It bites you, Boris, for 5 points of damage.
Oh.
Ooh. Still
And
feeling
Boris,
that
it's your
level.
round.
All right, yeah. Return fire with a fang of my own. It's just minus enormous.
Zucada.
Yeah.
The sword.
Should I just start referring to this thing as Sting, or do you think we'll get taken down with a copyright?
Some kind of infringement.
Okay, that is a 17 versus armor class.
Hits.
Hey.
For max, 14 more points.
Nice.
Keep aiming there because you're rolling good.
Yeah, roll into the cables.
And as you run it through on that one, it falls partially, then stops as it's caught in its own webs.
Nice.
And is just hanging there in front of you.
I'm going to take my move to circle around and try and get nearer to, or if I can, engage the other one.
I guess
What
that's
other
a matter
one? There
of,
were 2 of them?
That's passive.
The one
Yeah.
attacking
Man.
you, yeah.
Oh.
Spider doesn't get to attack twice in a round.
Oh.
On 2 different knits.
I think at this moment you're not aware that there is another one yet, as you were engaged in that one. That she said she did not yell or call anything out, so you don't know there's another one. Jacob, you're up.
Okay, so I'm nearer to Boris. If the torch is that far away,
You're
are
kind
we
of in
even-
the middle. You never moved to engage. You just shot
Oh.
at it with an arrow.
Can I see her?
You can see her.
Okay, then I will, staying where I am, I'll just turn and fire on the spider that I'm assuming is right next to her.
So when you turn and look, because you were also directed and engaged in the direction of the spider that Boris just killed, as you turn back to go, whew, like you're looking at Zelen, you can see that she is stuck and glued to one of these larger tree roots. Now you're aware that there's something else going on in this area right now.
Gotcha. And do I see the thing?
From your perspective, your angle, you do. high up on that wall that was down to the left side when you came into the room, there is another spider that's up into the ceiling.
Gotcha. So I'll take a shot at it, hoping that I can get it. 14 to hit.
You hit it exactly. Its armor class is a 14.
For 6 points of damage.
I turn and ask what he's shooting at.
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. We have multiple hostiles. Zelen is, what's a good way of saying it?
Stuck on the
Stuck
web.
to a wall.
The hyperdrive is leaking.
Shit out of luck.
What's a better word than that? Yes, you hit it. It did damage. And with that, it needs to change its own strategy because it cannot stay up there and attack from a distance and safe. And it moves down very quickly. And
Like it's moving controlled or it's falling?
no, moving controlled at 30. Yes, it gets to you and it attacks.
Yay.
Going by webs and roots, it goes right like over, about 8 feet over where Zelen is glued. So
Jeez.
it came on an angle, like along a tangent,
All right.
down to you. 14 natural. What's your armor class?
16.
19.
First time I've been hit this game for 14 points of damage.
For 9 points of damage.
Oh. Ow.
That must have really, really hurt.
Oh, yeah. That was...
Would have dropped me to 0.
Yeah, that was more than half of my hit points.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Being first level guys. And yes, Zelen, you are now up. Strength roll to try to break free.
Break free, please.
17.
Yes, you break free.
And I'm going to throw a dart. Am I allowed to do both?
No, that was your
Oh,
action.
dang it.
I was
see
hoping
that.
the breaking
You
free was
can
just a
move.
moving
You want to
action.
get closer to it. It's like, no, I think I'll stay over. I think I'll stay over here.
Yeah, I'll move towards it.
Okay.
I move to engage with the spider.
Yes, well, the spider has closed half the distance to you and come down out of the ceiling. So once it came down and attacked Jacob, you could see where it was. So at the end of your move, you have your attack.
That's a 24 versus armor class
Hits.
for another 14 points of damage.
Wow, nice.
You rolled max,
Yes!
max, and one away from max.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Jeez.
I've got a divinely blessed sword. I'm being a proper paladin.
You are the proper paladin. Excellent hit. Chopped in.
come again.
It sounded a little bit like you chopped through 2 crabs, although it is still
Oh, damn
alive.
it, the spider was pregnant. I'm horrified. I need to rethink my vows.
Gross.
The important bit was that it's still alive.
Jacob, you're up.
Gotcha. I'm not stuck or anything. It just
No.
hit me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it
So,
bit you.
Is it a free action swapping weapons if I were to go for a sword? Because I don't think I can fire a bow when I'm in melee combat with
I think
a
you have a
thing.
disadvantage when firing in melee. I don't know.
Yeah, we'd have to check on something like that.
Google foo. So it looks like you can just drop the bow as a free action and then draw an attack as one action.
Drawing. So
Yeah,
drawing
so-
my
so you
sword
can-
would be the move.
Right, if you just let's let go of the bow, you can pull the sword.
I'm going to drop my bow and unsheath my sword, and then I'm going to swing and attack at the spider that's all up in my grill.
Okay, twist it.
18 to hit.
Hits. Armor class of 14 on this thing.
Sweet. And nice. 8 points of damage.
And it collapses, falls down to the ground next to you.
Sweet. All right.
Dead.
Can somebody...
Hey,
Oh, I am
Yeah,
unstuck.
you
Never
already
mind.
got yourself sorted.
I'm unstuck.
hey,
Okay.
guess what, guys? You've each killed something.
Yay!
Well, yeah. You got to kill something. I got to kill something. You.
So you look pretty beat up, right?
I look very beat up.
I use
If
lay
I had
on
to
hands.
use terms to describe it, I'd say, man, I'm feeling like a 4 out of 13.
I use lay on hands and heal you back 5. Or no, yes, 5. Because I'm still first level.
Okay.
So that's all the more healing I can provide.
Hey, no, I can take exactly one more hit that the thing just gave me.
What
So,
did that put you up to?
if I had to put a number on it, I'm feeling maybe a 9 out of 13 now.
Yeah, I'm
I
feeling
feel like 9/13. So that's a good, sounds like a t-shirt.
I feel like a 9 out of 14 myself.
Forget the pain chart with the 1 out of 10. No. Just come up with a random scale. I'm feeling like a 7 out of 14. All right.
But that's
At this
still exactly
point,
a 5 out of 10.
This fog that was slowly filling the area has about filled the area. It's as though all through that combat and that fight, this fog was like somebody's pouring water into a glass. It filled to the top to the point where you can see each other as vague silhouettes because Zelen is holding this torch, but you're indistinct to each other and you're practically right next to each other.
Do we feel any adverse effects from this fog itself?
I was about to ask if it smelled magically horrendous or if we just died on contact a la Cloud Kill or Stinking Cloud.
Yeah, so none of those things. It seems to be just your garden variety fog. It seemed to have been magically produced, but the place just smells the way that it did just a few minutes ago. It's,
All right.
slimy and muddy down here.
I'm going to pull out a rope. Let's each grab onto this rope so we don't lose each other in this.
Back to elementary school. And
I have a limited number of hands, and one is taken with a shield, the other is taken with
we
a
tie
sword.
this one around your waist.
Yeah, we'll
'cause if
tie
you're
it around your
reversed-
waist because you're leading.
Right.
And then,
And if you get into trouble, we can both pull you out.
and then,
Like bait.
I roll my...
Let's test it, make sure it's working. Yoink!
The Lord yeeteth and the Lord yoinketh away.
Yoink. Perfect. All right, yeah. I'm down with that idea. I like that
Okay.
idea.
Okay, so you guys
you okay with having a rope
link
around
up
your
on the
waist?
rope.
But okay.
How much space between each of you on this rope?
I don't think it should be much. Maybe 5 feet.
Yeah.
What's social distancing right now?
6 feet. We're
Let's do
gonna do
6 feet.
I don't know if that joke's going to age well. I don't know when this episode's going to
Right, yeah. So the most likely direction, the open direction, was to move from your original point of view further downhill to the left into that mud, and it gets deeper as you go into it, but never deeper than like mid shin. And then as you step through that mud, you're either on steps or a ramp or just rubble, but then you come up back above out of that mud again. And then it's quite clear. A stone developed, built, made hallway bears off toward the left, but it stops almost immediately, completely choked. There's no way to get through there. It looks as though it's a dead end.
In the midst of all this, I guess we couldn't really see tracks, even if there were tracks. Because we're like putting our
Not with
like
this
an inch
fog
from the
this way,
ground.
right?
Yeah,
Is
I would
the
bet it's
torch doing anything to the fog?
No, not really. It doesn't change that.
Is
at
the
all.
fog doing anything to the torch?
Well, it does make it less luminous.
Okay.
so. There's no way it's a dead end. He went this way.
Yeah, no.
So
yeah.
can I search around to see if there's a way to open this area?
You can certainly search. You can do an investigation. You certainly could. Now, as you're in this area, it isn't like you came into a cleared area. There's still roots all through this. So with the spider thing that happened just a minute ago, you're very aware of it as you're proceeding forward, that it's like going through braided ropes. You're walking through these roots and they're dragging over you the entire time. And I would imagine that all three of you are thinking just like that web that Zelen brushed. So tactily, it probably keeps you on edge just as much as you step up into here. Though, so far, no one has felt any more sticky roots.
That's good.
Right.
I'd say be careful with the torch. We don't want to light any of the webs on fire because confined space.
All right, but go ahead, Zelen. You were going to roll an investigation?
5. Anybody else want to investigate,
no,
or
I'll help
anybody
you.
want to help me investigate?
Yeah,
Feel
sure.
feel along the wall.
Okay.
With
Am
you.
I helping you?
You're helping. I'm helping you.
Oh, okay. 17. Thank you for the help.
Yes. And
18.
With that, even better, with that, you do find that almost as soon as you stepped up out of the mud, so having to backtrack just 5 or 10 feet, on the right-hand side, there was a crack in the wall down low. To get into it, you'd have to really go down on hands and knees to crawl through it, but that's the only way forward that you guys can see.
Are there tracks at that point?
Are you, go ahead and roll your...
I ask that.
Okay, so,
I look.
okay, then roll.
I help him.
How much the paladin helps the ranger.
Paladin helped me by 15.
Check the mud right there.
24.
Yes, you can't. Initially, the track's completely obscured by just your own movements, the three of you moving in here. But as you hunker down, look down that little niche into that tunnel, that tube, you can see that the mud, the silt layer in there has been disturbed, and something on all fours has gone through it.
Gotcha. Before I turn around and say anything, I just want to take a moment to listen at the other end, like down this way, to see if it's the same kind of sounds of the living cave, or if I can hear anything more descript.
Okay, go ahead while you're listening.
Perception?
Investigation.
16.
Yeah, there is some kind of a sound. There's less overall noise in here. You think the two spiders and their own movements was part of what Boris was hearing before. And so that seems diminished. And it doesn't seem as though it's behind you or just each of you making your own noise. You're trying to, maintain your balance and things like that. But something's making sound further ahead of you.
Gotcha. So I'll stand back up, quietly share that information with the two of them. How do we want to go forward with the fact that we need light to see, and this is a very small opening?
Right.
'Cause I couldn't see any light on the other side of it, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, best thing I could think of would be I'd sheath sword, take the torch, move through, push the torch through to the other side first, so there's light on the other side. Keep a guard position, either fighting something on the other side, which I hope not, or keeping prepped for anything coming out of the dark. While you two.
You think sliding a torch is just going to put the torch out? There's enough silt and mud on the floor of this.
Yeah, so then I'll just carry
move forward with it. Move forward with it, like
hold it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Just dip it in the mud.
So I'll take up the rear again, ready to just.
So I'm gonna take a dagger out, just because I'm assuming I'm not gonna have much room to throw. Do you want to keep your sword out?
Oh yeah, I pick up my bow. If I need to,
Jacob
I go
says,
back.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, realizing now how much of a bad thing that would have been, I do go and make sure I have my bow.
And Spider 4, 5, and 6. Damn it! Join Spider 3.
It's just like numbering goats 1, 2, and 4. Okay, yeah.
1, 2, and 18.
So I have
You
my.
get it. You come back.
Yeah, so I have it wrapped in a way that it's still easily accessible, but using my sword is the easy way.
Right, appropriately, stowed weapons, unlimbered weapons, etc.
Yeah.
And Boris, you're moving into that. So you're moving like kind of on threes. Your one hand and your knees, and you have your torch forward.
I can detect magic, but it's not very powerful. I can detect it within 30 feet, but it's blocked by stone or dirt.
Well, then let's not use it if it's blocked by stone.
Okay.
As I move through, I will activate Divine Sense just to get a yes/no within 60 feet.
Right, yeah, it's a no.
Okay, cool.
So there's nothing that's
Might
one
be
of those
spiders,
kind
not
of bad
our local
things,
dead
yeah.
guy.
No from me, dog.
So I'm on the other side. Stand up.
You actually have to proceed forward for about 15 feet. It isn't like you just have to duck down and go through. So
right.
So we're crawling
I
through.
go through.
You go through that
thing
distance,
and
yeah.
get to the other side and stand up on the other side.
And as you do step on the other side, it's a little startling, even though it is root choked, and it looks as though the one side of a massive tree had once grown down into this. The roots kept extending further and further down. It's like a waterfall of roots from an opening in the ceiling. It is a huge chamber, about 70 feet across. It's circular, but almost like the inside of a vase. It tapers as it goes further up.
Clear.
And there's no other movement in it apart from you.
Okay, I'm coming through.
I prop the torch somewhere so I can draw a sword.
Yeah, so you're all set and ready. Good.
I'm coming through.
Okay, you're through.
I do at the same time.
And then at the same time, Kate, you're now both stuck.
I was like shivering next to her. I don't want to be standing on the dark end for too long by myself.
Says the brave ranger. You just killed a spider.
I did.
Yeah.
And I want to leave.
And almost died in the process.
So as you get to the other side and you're all there and you have your weapons unlimbered, it is a massive circular room. It's not spherical. It's like being, like I said, the inside of a vase. It tapers as it goes up, but you can tell the way this room was constructed, the hole up at the top is still a good 30 feet across, but more than half of that is taken up by massive roots.
It is open to the sky?
No, it's just open up to darkness. It's just if there's any chamber above it.
Is it constructed, or does it appear that this massive tree has formed this space?
It looks as though that the tree came later, that this space was here before and the tree just grew into it, or the roots grew into it sometime, much, much later.
Okay. So is there, using investigation, I guess, is there anything else that I see or immediately notice in this room that stands out to me? 19.
So as everyone's taking stock of just the space, you turn toward the actual side wall of this and sit your hand on it, touch it, and you realize that it's actually metal. It's not stone at all. This chamber you're in is a metal chamber.
And I share that with everybody else.
Weird.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is there anything? I'm gonna roll Arcana to see if there's anything that I would recognize
Okay,
about
yeah,
this.
go ahead.
And I'll do the same with religion while we're
17.
taking the time.
Nothing in Arcana, but you've definitely seen metal much, much smaller metal things like this being used in like alchemy, but never anything on this size. That a thing would be this large.
16 on religion.
Nothing in the religion, the Church of Uko would say anything about a chamber made of metal like this.
Okay.
Anyone else doing any kind of a specific investigation?
You said there's no movement, but is there sticky-looking roots?
There are no sticky-looking roots in here. You don't think those spiders could have made it through that narrow spot that you guys came
Right.
through?
I was wondering if they were part of a colony and there's a collapse that separated them or something like
Gotcha.
that.
No, definitely no. There's no webs inside here.
Copy.
Based on those sounds that I was hearing before, I do want to listen for those again, see if I can decipher where they're coming from.
Okay, go ahead and roll that on investigation.
11.
No, you don't hear those sounds at the moment. Any other examination of the actual metal?
Yeah, like age-wise.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm going to go and just take a closer look at it, see if I could see any symbols on it, or, you'd think if it was in a wet space, it should be rusty.
Yeah, I'll go over and assist her looking at similar things.
We'll go over. It's right under your own feet. It's
cool.
all around
I'd
you. It
bend
isn't
down
like,
and-
yeah. So
Natural 20 for a 23 unnatural.
I like to think that I helped.
excellent. Yeah. So, Zelen, we'll assume that you crouched down right near where the break was you came through. And you do see from this side that it is broken. Whatever this metal thing, chamber, room, container is, that it was cracked open, who knows how many ages ago. It seems very old, but as you've crouched down there, it looks like what you came through, the dirt and the stone, whatnot, about 15 feet from the previous chamber. The last foot is metal. You can actually examine the side wall of it now that you know you're not heading into danger and see that this metal room is about a foot thick and something, cracked it at some point, broke into the space. And Jacob, you can see that even at the edges, it's not rusted at all the way you would expect it to be. That it's dirty. It looks scoured that way. But in addition to that, as you're saying, you guys, it's not rusty a bit. You do note that it seems like metal that's been exposed to heat, tremendous heat, but only on the inside. As you go back to the crack that you came in through and give a quick examination to the outside versus the inside, it looks as though the inside has been exposed to tremendous heat, but the outside has not.
The inside is in the area that we're standing in.
Correct.
So it's almost like we're standing in like an oven
Or kiln.
or
yeah.
a kiln. Yeah.
Yay! What is the fog doing right now? Like, is it staying constant?
It is at about shoulder high in here, but it seems to be slowly dissipating,
Okay.
as though it had to come in through the crack too. In the other place, it seemed to materialize in the air, just in that space. But in here, it's rolling into
Any
the
other
crack
exits
too.
from here?
Is that where the fog is going?
Roll that as an investigation, Boris.
Does somebody better at that than me want to try?
Yeah, I'll watch the fog, see if it's going, like, leaving the room from a certain area aside from where we came in.
Go ahead
studying
and
it
roll
way.
that, Jacob. Roll with advantage with the that fog being an indicator.
Investigation?
Yes.
Yeah, 19.
Very nice. That you can see it. On the far side of that chamber, east to west, almost directly opposite of where you came in, there is another crack. And everything, it's obscured by, dirt that's come in, mud, roots. It's not that large. But you can see there's another break in this. And the way that, another obvious way, if you climbed up these roots, about 30, maybe 40 feet up, you think you could exit the thing out through the top of it too. But there's definitely a crack down here at this level.
Gotcha. Point that out to the two of y'all.
So, how far away is the top?
Where it narrows down about 30 feet.
Okay, the torch sheds 40 feet of light. Can we see up into that?
You can see a root ceiling up above there, like dirt and root ceiling. So there's definitely a space above it, but it looks really low. Like it does. Like the synapse doesn't go much further than the lip of this structure.
Okay, so that isn't actually an exit. It's just a narrow point, or
Like a shelf?
You can't see like on an angle in either direction outside that lip.
right? But I
like-
can see indicators like shadows.
That's a good point. Yes, the space extends beyond
Okay.
the sides of it, but you can't tell how far.
Right.
I'm going to go and look at the other opening just to see if I can see if that's where our friend went or if there's anything different that I can tell from that opening.
He's more
Okay.
a quarry.
Go ahead. Friend.
Like how, yeah, we kill our enemies right off like the bugbear, but we let this guy live because we're fond of him.
Can somebody else help me, perhaps?
Sure.
Should have just said no.
Okay, Jacob is helping you at the entranceway there now. I mean, not Jacob,
Are you sure?
Boris is.
So with Boris's help, then I have, is it investigation?
Yes.
19.
There is no mud from this side. It looks as though any amount of like moisture and fall does come down through the area that's above, but most of it seems to fill up from below and comes through that crack the same way that you guys did. On the inside of this floor, there is some mud, but not as much. The whole structure must have a slight tip to it, and that other crack is slightly uphill, so there's no mud in there. But even with that check, you can see just by the movements of like a boot pushing across that surface that something's gone through here.
So it looks like he went this way. Do we want to just follow him or do we want to investigate whatever that space is up there?
I'd say follow him.
Yeah, because what if we're up there and he leaves? I think following him at this moment is the best idea.
Yeah, I would agree. So I'm going to try to listen at that space to see if I can hear him.
Okay.
Knowing this guy's tactics, that could also be his exit. Like, we're going to go this way and he's going to drop down from there and then leave us that way.
Natural 20 for a 26 unnatural.
I have to admit, I forgot what you said you were listening for.
I'm listening to see if I can hear him or if I can. It's a 20. I should be able to perceive like everything.
Yeah,
I can smell his cologne.
You heard a squirrel fart
I
back at
can-
Hiller.
You can definitely hear something moving, as though in a narrow space, like something's belly crawling, shifting, moving around. There's something moving ahead of you.
I activate Divine Sense.
Yes, there's an undead within 60 feet of you.
He's here. Thanks for listening. Make sure to follow us at The Empire's Edge on Twitter and Instagram. To learn more about the characters, go to theempireshedge.com and mattsinkovich.com. That's MattSinkovich.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, go to subscribestar.com/the-empires-edge. Thank you.